adds a little to the international conversation because so I recently read for the Salam Award, which is a short fiction prize coming out of Pakistan, and I read dozens of stories, many of which were wonderful and very happy to help pick a winner. But the one thing that struck me is as I was reading these stories is they very much reminded me of the stories I was reading in the 1980s in newsstand copies of FNSF, Asimov, etc., so on. They have very similar style, approach to things like info dumps, and there were long explications, and it's often kind of crossed with a perhaps Arabic storytelling, Thousand and One Nights tradition. It was as if those two things had come together and meshed, and it made me think that these people who are writing in English, not in translation, right? This is people who are writing in English, were, it made me wonder what they were reading and what had made its way of American science fiction and fantasy to Pakistan, because I know in Sri Lanka, I was recently talking to Udinjaya Vijayaratne, who is a very promising Sri Lankan writer, and he was talking about the ways in which he had just read Alec Neville Lee's Astounding and was prompted by that to go seek out Delaney, who he'd never read, and he was immersed in Clarke, of course, for Sri Lanka, but Heinlein and Asimov, Bradbury, the big names he knew and had read tons of it. He said Delaney was not on the bookshelves, right? You couldn't go into a bookstore and pick it up, and so he's now been able, thanks to ebooks, now, because otherwise the shipping costs would be prohibitive, right?
Ebooks are a total game changer.
Right.
And they're a game changer for minority languages as well.
Right.
I've got friends who work in minority languages who said it's actually led to an explosion of local writings.
Yeah.
Because, so people who live in countries that have like 35 languages, you can't produce the paperback, but you can produce an ebook very cheaply.
That's right. Translation costs. This is one of our next big projects. Is that so?
I know, or not even just translation costs, but you can produce a book for 500 people if you're producing it as an ebook.
That's right.